And now, please welcome your host for the week, Bill Clayman.
Woo! Oh my goodness. Trickle in. Come on, the doors are still open. Trickle in, everybody. Come on in. Gosh, if there was just something I could have that I could see you better. Man, what could I use to see you all a little bit better? Oh, wait. There we go. Oh, look at that. But now the camera people, you're like, oh no, we can't see his face. So they're going to say, Bill. There, I got to do that. Welcome back, everybody. Austin, Texas. Yeehaw, I hope you got your boots, your buckle, your hat. There's a great place nearby you can get some of this stuff. It is a pleasure to see everybody here again. Welcome back to Austin, the city of really good barbecue, great music, and obviously a place for innovation and tech and smart people, and obviously all of you guys. It is exciting to see everyone back. We actually had a pretty busy day the other day. We kicked off our inaugural Data Center Build Summit. We had our amazing workshops. We had the amazing research forum from Omdia, and of course we had the Women in Data Centers reception. And this week is going to be nothing short of amazing. Okay, as of a couple minutes ago, I don't really need to whisper, y'all can hear me. I got notice that this is a record-breaking attendance crowd. There we go. Not just that, we have a record-breaking number of exhibitors as well down in the expo hall, so you have to check it out. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. I'm really proud of this group. I'm really proud of all the people that are coming out there to make this event something really, really special. So because there's so many of you, be sure to engage in the keynotes. Go to the expo. Go to the wonderful sessions. Be sure to talk to people. Spend time on that expo floor. It is absolutely epic, and dare I say it's actually bigger and better than we've ever had it in the past. And most importantly, I think we're out of any sort of illness that's happening right now. So hug a friend, find somebody that you know. Don't hug a stranger, shake hands, be normal. But definitely make a new connection. Say hi to somebody, because that's what this is all about, is to see friends, to see, people that we know, smiling faces. I got my front row crew here. It makes me feel so much better. So make sure you get out there and see those folks that you know. Now, this industry, I mean, as you can tell, is growing so quickly and changing so dynamically. We want to take advantage of this week because it is special, and we are all together, and we are all learning. So get out there, learn about these emerging trends that you're going to be hearing about, learning about the innovators, what trends are driving us forward. Because, I mean, we've got sessions with like AI and ChatGPT, and they're going to be filled to the brim because these are really relevant topics for us. Now, before we get started, there's a couple of key highlights that I want to make sure I cover here at Data Center World 2023. First thing is first, this is going to be really important. We want to thank our Content Advisory Board. This is a very, very special group that contributes to making Data Center World as amazing as it is, to have this record-breaking attendance, to have all of you here with us. And this board is critical to crafting relevant conference lineups to support emerging programs, new conversations, new sessions, and we so very much appreciate their value, their time, and the contributions that they've made. Hey, you know what? Time out. If there are any board members here, I know there's at least one back there in backstage. Who's a board member? Stand up. We got to give them a round of applause. Let me see your board members out here. Round of applause for these amazing people. There's at least one. Oh, is that Ryan? Good job, Ryan. There's another one. Let's go on. All right. Lights are up. Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Thank you for your contribution. It means a lot. Now, the other people that we want to say thank you to are the speakers. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for taking the time and energy, and obviously the effort that you've taken to prepare and present. Listen, this isn't easy. I get it, right? This is challenging, right? Sometimes public speaking is scarier than like clowns and death, which is a really weird list. But anyway, it's kind of challenging to get up here and talk, so thank you. Hey, one more thing. Speakers, stand up. Come on, show us your bravery. There they are. Big round of applause to the people helping make this entire conference amazing and learning and awesome. Thank you so much, speakers, for getting, maybe not on this stage, but at least your stage and having a great conversation. Thank you all. We're very, very much appreciated. Obviously, a big thank you to our sponsors for making this event so special. Please be sure to check them out in the expo hall just around the corner. On that note, this expo hall is going to be epic. Now, it's actually literally the biggest one we've ever had. there's a waterfall in there. That's what I heard. That's the weirdest kind of liquid cooling I've ever seen. But hey, you know what? At least go check it out. It's over there. Don't cool your servers with a waterfall. But definitely go over there and see what we've got. Again, it's a big lineup, record-breaking for exhibitors. The industry is abuzz with innovation. You're going to get a chance to see all of it. Be sure to spend some time out there and check out the amazing content on the Data Center Live stage. You're not going to want to miss that. We are excited to bring back our very own Shark Tank of Data Center World. We're not going to make anyone cry this year. We're going to actually ask much simpler questions. It's going to be much more interactive. We've renamed it as the Innovation Challenge. It's going to take place tomorrow at a very exact time, 5:05 to 6:30 p.m. At the Data Center Live stage. So be sure you come by, check out some new technology, because you know what? You never know. One of those things might be revolutionizing our data center industry very soon. Very excited to feature this program again and welcome it back again, the Data Center Power Up program. This actually enables seasoned professionals like you all to work with other kinds of folks, high schoolers, job placement programs, and share your knowledge and expertise to bring in the next generation of amazing people in this industry. So on Thursday, you are going to be seeing some bright-eyed, happy high schoolers walking around. Please don't scare them. Say something nice. Tell them data centers are really cool. And make sure that they come and join us. You're also going to see some folks from technology job placement programs walking around. They're going to be touring our sessions. They're going to be in the expo hall. So if you see some young'uns, make sure that you tell them, hey, this place is pretty cool. Come join us in this industry and how amazing it is to be a part of it. All right, this next one, I expect to see everyone out here. And if you don't have a cowboy hat, I love Allen's Boots. It's on South Congress. Get your cool boots and hat over there, because you are going to join us at the conference party Wednesday, 7:30 to 10:30 at Clive Bar. We were there last year. It was so much fun. Good music, really good Tex-Mex fare, and a guaranteed good time. We're actually going to be announcing our Innovation Challenge winners at this event, so it's going to be a night to remember. Definitely make sure that you join us. Now, I told everyone, we're going to be here. You're connecting, so don't just hug somebody, right? Connect with them as well on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, on whatever you like. Listen, get social. I'm following these hashtags. I'm trying to see everything out here, whether it's LinkedIn or whether it's Twitter. Get out there, share your knowledge, share your thoughts, take a picture of something cool or a selfie. You know, all of you can be honorary millennials if you want. I don't think you want that honor. But definitely get out there and share your knowledge, share some pictures, and just be social and share some of your insight with everybody else. Now, this next part is new, right? We're going to make sure that we recognize the amazing people, the people that make this industry wonderful. So I'm really excited to announce this new recognition program for Data Center World we're bringing to the community, and that is the Data Center Manager of the Year Award. This program supports exceptional leaders who are on the front lines of data center management. It honors those who are dedicated to ensuring uptime, supporting team building, and driving sustainability and innovative thinking. Now, these trailblazers you see up there are always striving to work smarter, plan for the future, and certainly advance mission-critical environments. I'm really excited to announce these folks. So these are our finalists. We've got Paul Apston with Oak Ridge National Labs. We got Sean Devine with Sabi Data Centers, Joe Hushins with Sixtera, and Fred Murray with CX Robinson. If I said your last name wrong, I'm really sorry. But welcome to these guys, and a big round of applause to our finalists really quick right here. These are the managers of the year. All right. Since I know it's 8:39 in the morning. I've never made two groups of people stand up. We are going to do a communal keynote drum roll. Give me a drum roll. Come on. This is your chance to wake up a little bit. You're lucky I'm not making you jumping jacks. All right, join me in announcing who the winner is this year. Come on, clicker. Now it's suspense, huh? Paul Apston for Infrastructure Operations Group Leader for Oak Ridge National. Come on up here, Paul. Picture. Say a couple words.
First of all, I'm not the best public speaker in the world, so you probably feel like you're listening to Jeff Earl Bodine up here, being from Tennessee. But I thank the conference, I thank AFCOM, thank whoever nominated me, for seeing me and recognizing me and appreciating what I do. I think Oak Ridge National Laboratory, about, I guess 5 years ago, they looked at me and said, we'd like to have you and run our data centers and build these massive supercomputers. And I was a lonely old safety professional, you know, with 28 years of keeping people safe and building things and tearing things down. And they saw organization. They saw someone who could, you know, see the future and see things and think through a little bit. And I'm lucky enough to be able to steer the ship, but it's not about me. I've got a great group of craft people and engineers and mechanical engineers and electrical engineers, and we go through them any problem and say, hey, we want to build a 30-megawatt machine, world's first exascale, Frontier. They design our building, we get construction to do it, and then I'm just a guy that herds the cattle, you know, that gets the pieces in and gets them put together and foremost makes sure that happens safely. But it's a huge team effort. We're proud of what we do. We're proud that we recycle about everything that we can recycle, old machines. We get them out and get them recycled, get rid of an old, you know, Titan machine, big monster machine, fill up this room, but we're glad we can recycle it and do good for the environment. And we're always striving to be better, find something different, think outside the box a little bit. It's a blessing to be at a national laboratory because we can solve any problem. I can say, hey, I've got some bacteria in my water, and poof, up pops 3 or 4 biological bacterial experts that come to my office and say, we can help you with that. So, you know, we have a lot of resources. But again, I thank the conference, and I thank all the people that made it happen for me, and I hope everybody has a good trip here in Austin. Thank you.
Awesome. Really, thank you for what you do, man. Great. Thank you. All right, Paul. Hey, listen, thank you for what you do. You're not just a lonely data center guy. You are a part of an amazing community, and what you do is very important. In fact, everyone here is very important because we are the center of it all. Everything runs in a data center. Let's not forget that. All right, deep breath, Bill, deep breath. I'm really excited about this. Standing back there, my friend Burcin Kaplanoglu. I've known Burcin for some time, and I've actually, when I asked him to come here and speak, I got so excited. He's like, you want me to talk to some data center people? I got you, Bill. I know a little thing about data centers. So I'm so excited about the presentation that Burcin is going to be doing here. Burcin is going to showcase the latest innovations and trials with robotics in the data centers, how data is being used to bring capacity online faster and far more sustainably, and how data-driven solutions are absolutely going to be impacting our very much digital infrastructure and connected future. Now, Burcin is the Vice President at Oracle Industry Lab and the 2023 Top LinkedIn Voice. Burcin is going to be coming up and speaking on how robotics and AI is going to be changing the digital infrastructure industry. Big round of applause for Burcin.
Hi, everyone. Great to see you this morning. I'm going to bring some reality to AI and robotics. So let's start with that. There's a lot of mysticism behind it. You know, you hear a lot of things, what's real, what's not. I'm actually going to leave you something that you can go and use. Let's start with the topic. So how robots and AI will change digital infrastructure. A little bit of my background, by the way. My background is construction engineering. I spent 16, 17 years in the industry, done many different roles, and then 6 years ago, I joined Oracle. And my story starts with Oracle Industry Lab. Oracle is a business which provides software for construction engineering. So for the ones who actually build things in this room are pretty familiar with some of their products, including Primavera for scheduling. And when I joined that business, my job was to lead innovation. And one of the first things I asked them is, well, this is awesome. You know, we talk about technology, software, integrations, partnerships, you know, all these things, but shouldn't we actually physically do these things? That's how Lab started. The idea there was, we should build a small construction site and actually test and trial technologies. Now, if you think about it, it's a software company, right? That's not what typically they do. And there are places like this called innovation labs. I've been to many of them as Oracle's customer or others. They look exciting, they look interesting. They show you future of data centers, future of retail, future of this and that. But as a person who ran my own operations, I couldn't really relate to it. I would go see these things, it's exciting, but I didn't know what to do today to actually reach to that destination. So that's what the lab is built for. The lab is built to really incubate ideas, demonstrate, and put them together, make them work, where people actually can use it. How we innovate. The approach is also very different. Typically, what happens is, like you're seeing generative AI, large language models, all those things, right, coming up, the technology is coming, and then they're all looking to say, well, how does this apply to my industry? By the way, I am going to end this with what I believe AI agents and large language models will impact data centers. So would love to hear your thoughts after that part. And what happens is the technology is developed and everybody's looking in industry someplace. Well, should this go to healthcare? Should this go to data centers? Should this go to retail? That's how the world evolves. Well, our approach is totally different. Part the reason is people I work with all come from the industry, and we care about the problem first. So if you look at the first one, we identify the real-world problems. What is the problem that we're trying to solve? Then we look at the business process, the skills needed, technologies. Well, I say technology as the third, right? I didn't even say it at the beginning. And then we figure out where Oracle technology fits in, partner technology fits in, and then we go do it. So that's the biggest difference of this lab, physically doing these things. And for the ones in this room, again, built things, I'll start with one first example we tried was, well, everybody said we should have a link between how sensors are embedded into concrete and how you know it's cured. Well, we could pour concrete and actually see how that works, right? So that was the whole mentality behind it, is actually do it. And what happens is eventually, you try, you fail, you try, you fail, it works, and when it works, well, it becomes a commercially available product where industry can use. And it is beneficial to the industry, it's beneficial to Oracle, it's beneficial to its partners, it's beneficial to its customers. So from customers' perspective, why would they participate? Because when I worked in the industry, I hold my own P&L, run my own business. Actually, I did some point telecommunication infrastructure, so very familiar with infrastructure, IT networks and fiber and telecommunication part of the world that you deal with. So when I did that, corporate innovation was hard. I had to pass through a lot of things. I had to pass through compliance. I had to pass through security review. I had to pass through IT. You have to have contracts in place. Even you have funds, sometimes it's very hard to get these things in place. That's why we created this space. So we have a location in Chicago. So I'm inviting all of you. We have a place in Sydney, and we are about to be operational in Reading. What industries? I'm not going to read through them. You can see on the screen from construction to hospitality to energy to all these industries. What's been fascinating for me, starting this and running it 5 years, is the gray area between industries. I'm actually going to give you specific examples. There are many things that are used in different industries that we learned another industry can adapt and use. And it's been a fascinating experience. This is the lab in Chicago. It's next to 94. It's one of the busiest highways in US. And that trailer that you see was how it all started. That's our garage. That trailer, we had a trailer. We had a steel structure outside. It looked like a half-complete, never completed construction site. By the way, there were people who told me that, well, we would drive by on the highway and we see this construction site, but it's never complete. Well, it wasn't complete for 2 years because it was built as a simulated site. And if you looked at it, it didn't look fancy like this building. By the way, we had uncomfortable chairs, trailer, steel, and that's it, a fence. It did not look anything exciting from outside. But we had industry came from all around the world. We had people come from Australia, New Zealand, China, Middle East, which we didn't even anticipate, by the way. And if they look at the pictures, I was wondering, why are you coming looking at these pictures? This is not even something exciting to look at. It wasn't about that, right? It was actually about solving the problems and physically doing them. We actually started building that building right before pandemic started. 2019, end of 2019, beginning of 2020. We also used all the technologies I'm going to mention today to build it. So there's a whole story behind how we build the site and how we build that building. We finished on time and on budget. That building is built in 10 months. What does it look like inside? Inside is a big hangar. This is actually at the time of construction completion. That's the photo taken by the architect. And you see that there is 2 steel bays inside. That's kind of how we started. I'm actually going to play a video from the opening a year later we had. One of the key differences is on the left side, we actually built a factory floor. Look, innovation is about change, right? Innovation is about trying different things and new things. So within a year, we decided that we actually have to have more in there. We have to have a factory floor. We have 5G provided by our partner Verizon. So there's a lot of tech in there. That's our test bed. This is what Sydney looks like. Sydney looks like what Chicago looked like when it first started. It looks like a small construction site. This is what Reading looks like. It's a suburb of London. Now, I'm going to stop for a second. I want you to look at this carefully. You will see a 40-year-old train in there. Wonder what that is. So, here's what we did. We looked and see what is a core problem that we can address. At a high level, it is sustainability, mobility, and accessibility. Sustainability, mobility, and accessibility for the world. Then we looked and say, well, if you take those 3, what is a core problem that we can solve? The core problem is, what happens, and this is not that common in the US, so Europe made a lot of sense for this, if you follow the logic. What happens when you leave your house? You go to a mass transport, you get into that mass transport, you complete your journey, then you do the last mile. That's what that site represents. We acquired a Tesla car. It drives you through. There's a drive-through. There is a train car. It's a simulated ride. Again, this is not show and tell, by the way. It's built as a test site. So the reason why we have such a giant platform is when we want to integrate, let's say, grocery orders with drone deliveries, we're going to try it here, right? And we cannot do this alone, by the way. I want to emphasize that too, right? We're a cloud company. We have these industry applications. They're awesome, great. We have to work with partners. So in last 4.5 years, we are over 70 or so partners. And at these labs, we have developed over 75 use cases. When I say use cases, they never end, right? So you start with one, you come to a point, well, that's, while you haven't automated some parts of it, you go back and automate that. It's like a never-ending journey. So, don't hold me to that number. It's not about that number. I want to give you an example for Oracle innovating within Oracle in this space. So, you'll see the picture to the left is early stages of the lab. By the way, the factory floor was being built. You see at the back like a small box that's looking. There's some tables there. It was under construction. We acquired an actual police vehicle. By the way, acquiring a police vehicle with all the tech in it is pretty complicated. It has all the tech has to come with it. You need to be specially licensed, all that stuff. The reason is Oracle formed a business unit that focuses on public safety. And what we built has multiple Oracle tech tied together. And this is a commercially available product. We announced this at Cloud World in September. That's when I can actually talk about it. We couldn't talk about it for almost 2 years. So we closed the doors. We acquired the vehicle. We put cameras all around. It live streams their command center. We have body cams. You have all this imagery coming into one place. It also has end-to-end management to it. Now, I'm going to talk about the gray area. Remember I said there's a gray area, you can touch things, it touches. So when a utility customer comes to the lab and we talk about use cases and ideate, and by the way, the key there is not just ideate, we physically do them, right? So just to be clear, you come up with the idea, you work with us, we then physically do them. So it's a project. When they saw this technology, they said, well, I want that live streaming because I have remote sites or I have operations, right? So far, it's oil and gas. utilities and construction is saying, well, some of the tech that you have on live streaming, the video and the footage, all the stuff is really relevant to me. Same thing with telecom infrastructure. Remote sites, I worked in that field. You want to have some visibility, right? You want to have some visibility to what's going on the site. Also, think about this. There's a giant labor shortage, right? We're not going to have an expert in every site. You need guidance. You need expert advice. By the way, this is not new. You all know this, right? This has been taught for 20 plus years. This is not a new concept. It's just about finding it where it exists and bringing it from one industry to another. That's what we're doing. We even built a condo apartment in this lab. Why? Because we have a business that serves utility companies to manage their networks. We also have a business that helps all of you to run your home. Look, I live in Chicago. Once a month, I receive an email from ComEd. Says, hey, you use this much energy versus your neighbors. Guess what? It's us actually running it and emailing it to the customer's customer. It's not coming out from the utility. We have a big business that actually deals with behavior science. That's why we actually built a condo apartment. You're not really seeing the apartment in this picture. Should revise that. There is an apartment with full kitchen, seating area, living area, Tesla Powerwall, all the stuff, microgrid, fully isolated from the building itself. We have a data lake for that building, right? All this stuff, by the way, since all of you are in infrastructure, I want to highlight this. It's a bet we made 4 years ago. Like, we put EV chargers, we put all this stuff. You know, everyone talks about data lakes and digital twins. So we planned on doing this 4 or 5 years ago, right? And it's live now. It was a bet that we took to say, well, EVs are going to be a big deal. So we need to figure out how microgrids work with EVs. What happens when all of us buy EVs? What happens to your network? We simulate that at the lab, by the way. So we work on it for 2.5 years now. The question is this. Summer is coming. We're in Austin. If you live here, you're going to, a lot of people are buying EVs. What happens to that network? We've been simulating that for 2 years. What happens in the summer months to that network? Because we have network management tools. Then, other 5G use cases in manufacturing. So we've been looking at machine connectivity to other parts and pieces. Now, I am going to shift this conversation because that was the first 15 minutes. I'm right on time. That was the introduction. Let's talk about how this is relevant to you, right? Data center. What you're seeing here is a fully autonomous drone that's flying. It is going to go and take an image from those pipes. Image registers to Oracle Vision Services. Vision Services count the pipes. That goes to Oracle Fusion, so it does inventory management. Well, how is this relevant to you? It's really relevant to you, right? You're seeing a lot of things. You're seeing a lot of companies are doing, warehouse management, inventory management, automating this stuff. It's already happening. This is not, by the way, that feature. So if you follow what's happening in energy and utility space, it's already happening. Like, we develop technologies where autonomous drone flies, and we actually created Rust. It detects Rust, and it reports back to our project management systems. Why? Look at our infrastructure. Well, we're a C- now in infrastructure. We were D-, so we improved a little bit, thankfully. The next report, I think, is going to come in the next 2-3 years, where we stand. And we need to automate that process. So just remember this use case about inventory, flying something, taking an image. It could be a robot, it could be a ground robot, whatever it is. How is this relevant to you? Before I start talking about that, I really want to show you this. We cannot do this alone, right? I mentioned one of our partners' names, Skydio. They have the autonomous drones. We have over 70 partners. And by the way, when I say partners, that means they put their resources, they put their hardware, software to work with us, right? That's all the work, and we're super thankful for that. This is just Chicago. Now, let's talk about the future of data center infrastructure, robotics, and AI. And I did promise you I'm actually going to give you something tangible to use. Let's start with design and construction. So this is an image taken during construction of that building. You see YouTube famous Boston Dynamics spot. By the way, you see it dancing, you see it other things. It can absolutely do much more than that for industries, right? So we work with another partner. Their name is on there, Faro Technologies. And what we did was Faro used this site to take the scanner, which is LiDAR, and integrate with the robot. What does that mean? It means you train the robot, you hit record, you tell it to a certain direction, you have it stop, you have it scan that area, go to another direction, scan the area, and come back to the starting point. That's what today mostly happens when you look at autonomy and AI, is humans are training these things with the vision to actually do that. So they use the site, then we actually integrated it with schedule and the BIM models and run this project. This is the workflow. What's really interesting is, if you look at this workflow, there are two partners here. We're in the middle. The first one is the laser scanning, and then the middle section is us, the visual data, the model data, the schedule, and the last one is a partner named Reconstruct, where you can take the model data, schedule data, and the visual data, and merge all of them in one place. Now, while we were doing that, those years, we also developed a new AI tool. I'm going to start with our strongest space, scheduling. This tool actually looks at all your projects and past data and actually tells you there is 94% chance that you're going to have a 10-day delay, and here's the reason why. Look, one of the key things with AI and machine learning is, many of our customers do that, including us and our competition. They would go build a data science team. They will grab data from whatever they have, and then they build these models. There are a few obstacles to that. One of them is they're only using their own data, right? And to actually effectively do this, you need to have larger data sets. And everybody thinks their data is unique and special and don't want to share it, so I'm not going to go that direction for this conference, but you all know how people feel about it, right? They're not sharing anyone with anything. And what happens is, let's say you build a model and you made it work. Well, the next day you realize something isn't working and you want to change it. What do you need? You actually need those same data scientists go back and change those models. So these are more like prototypes, ad hocs, right? You build these things, they're awesome, but there are limitations to it. What we built is a cloud-based tool which actually grabs data from different sources, makes predictions, but it also tells you the reasons. And if you accept it, it will feed into the model. If you decline it, it will feed into the model. So you actually don't need to be a data scientist. That's a huge improvement to everything that we're dealing with industries. There's a model in there which looks at litigation. Okay, let's admit this, we're in the US, right? It's about litigation. Everything we do, every documentation, I worked in project management for 20 years. All I had to do is document everything, every conversation. How many self-serving emails I have sent, copy lawyers, come on, right? That's what I did. That's normal. Well, we built a model which actually reads through communication and it tries to flag the communications which could turn into litigation in the future. And you can either accept or decline. It creates transparency within the organization. We're talking about using machine learning for predicting things, right? We're not just talking about analyzing things and understanding things. We're trying to predict what future might hold. And by the way, everything I've shown until now is commercially available. The next part is something we published 2 weeks ago. If you know engineering field, this was actually announced at Engineering News Record. They observed us how we did this. So what did we do? This is a 22-page white paper. I am going to provide links for you guys to go and download, but I'm going to give you an overview of what's in it. So we were at the lab. This is one of those beautiful March mornings, by the way. Chicago has those. It was like photo taken at that time. So we were at the lab. 2 of our customers joined this experiment, and we had several partners. Here's what we did. I'm going to stop for a second. I want you to read this screen. So stationary LiDAR is human laser scanning. Mobile LiDAR is human is carrying a laser scan. Structured light is structured light. By the way, here, one other thing I'm going to emphasize is we're not mentioning the companies. The reason is it's all about the technologies, right? We didn't want to make this into a comparison between products, right? That's not in our business. That's not our business. We wanted to make it about the technology. Yes, there is some variations between if you buy product A to B to C, definitely. But we picked the ones that are top, that we are aware of, and we tested it. So the customers brought, I think, 5, 6 people, like a surveyor, you know, a drone pilot. All these people came, and we scanned that big open space 8 different ways. Then here is, you know, if you're interested, this is what the survey points are. We had to put control points, all that stuff, and some photos of it. This is the workflow. Again, when you download the paper, you're going to read this, but I want to highlight one thing for us. When we did this experiment, the reality capture was 1 day. Writing this paper took 6 months. We totally underestimated what it's going to take. And some of the findings were so fascinating, I'm going to walk you through. And this is one of a kind, did not exist. It actually also proved us, we did a time and cost study. Those are the next slides. I know like a lot of operational people in this room are going to care about that. Because look, if you look at this, oh, this is awesome, you went and scanned, so what, right? I'm an engineer, so I want to know that too. So that's what we looked for. And the part I really want to mention is we didn't just do time and cost study on what it takes to scan this or the cost. We did it, what it takes to upload it, what it takes to process it, what it takes to actually something meaningful at the end of it, right? So everything I'm sharing is beginning to the end. Now, I also have to caution all of you, the people that joined this experiment were extremely skilled, okay? So like that surveyor was probably one of the best. He's been in this industry for 20 plus years. Like their names are written in the report. Like they are super skilled people who done this experiment. And that comes out of the report too. It's people, process, technology, right? The people have a huge impact. I can hand all of you the same scanner and you could have totally different results. So this is the workflow. Reality capture and the design solutions go into our platform, then we visualize it in another platform. When you download the paper, you're going to see the details of this. We even compared visual outputs. Like that was another thing, by the way. Look, everyone loves to talk about accuracy, right? So I'm sure we have a question part, which we don't today. Somebody's going to say, how accurate is this? What's the accuracy? We compared it. It's in the paper. You can read it. But there's also, what we did is we did a visual quality in the report too. Because how easy it is for a human to look at this and actually make sense out of it. So this is 8 different ways. Now, one thing I want to highlight is I talked about how the robot worked, right? You program it, it goes, scans the site. What I want to talk about is what happened with the autonomous drone, which is a very unique technology. The partner actually made it available to all the company, as I said, Skydio. They made it available to all its customers, available this week, what I'm talking about. Here's what you do. You fly the drone, you control it from a browser, you have the drone look at that corner, that corner, that corner, and this corner. And you say, this is the resolution you want, this is the accuracy you want, these are the parameters I want. It automatically calculates how many images it needs to take, and it goes and does it. And it's now commercially available as of this week. We used this in November. All right, so let me explain this table a little bit. I have better images to explain. So the gray dots are, let me say it so another. The left is setup and capture time. So this is a time study. And the bottom timeline is from the capture to output, okay? And the colored dots is what happens when you repeat it. The gray dots is what happens when it's first time. Now, it's really hard to read it, so that's why actually I have a visual 8. Okay, let's start with the first one. What happens when you use LiDAR? Well, when you start LiDAR, it's that little gray box at the C. There's an improvement. You get human doing LiDAR. But what we learned is with the tripods, everything else, site conditions change. There's some improvement, don't get me wrong, but it's not that much. But if you use robot, well, site conditions change. When you have an obstacle, it goes around it, right? So you see the time savings drop, and the time on overall time plus the capture time. Because the capture time drop, overall time drops too. As you see, it goes like this, right? Next one, autonomous drone. We had the same benefits. Well, we pretty much proved autonomy here, right? Whether it's a drone or a ground robot or whatever robot you use, you repeat over and over again. I mean, we all knew this, but we experimented and proved this is accurate. It actually repeats itself pretty accurately, and it works. Now, I don't know if you can see that far, but there's definitely benefit on human flying drone too. Let me ask you this. How many in this room actually have flown or pilot of a drone? Can you raise your hands? Okay, so let me ask the next question. How many of you use autonomy already built in, which is you do flight planning, you monitor it, but it flies itself? There you go. That's why they're saving. So there's already autonomy built into the, I call it manual drone, right? If it's human-controlled drones, it's already built into it. So what we have seen is there is benefits, there's time improvements to human-controlled drones too, not as much as autonomous drones, fully autonomy, right? But there's benefits to it because autonomy is already in there because it's helping you to fly these things. You still need to be flying it. You can do a flight plan, it flies itself. And the next four, we have seen somewhat similar benefits. By the way, the left two is 360 video and your phone. And what you're seeing is the pink one is mobile LiDAR and the brown one is structured light. So we have seen some benefits, but they were not as significant. Now, if we just look at time, what would you say? Well, look at this. 360 video, you know, is really beneficial. It's the phones. It is, and then if I go to the next slide, you're going to see they're cheaper. We should use all of them. Well, it depends on the use case. There's a table here which then looks at all the use cases. Let's look at the cost. I'm going to do this quicker. As you see here, so do the math. You buy a laser scanner, the stationary laser scanner. You then get a robot. You attach it to it. The cost is significantly increased, right? Well, if you repeat it over and over again, the cost becomes pretty comparable based on what we have learned. Same thing. The cost drops because of time. Time is money, right? Initial cost is still the same. You know, you all know that. If you buy the hardware, it's yours, or you lease it, it's there. And we did not really see any cost difference by that repetition that we had with phones and other things, because guess what? You still have to use a phone, you still have to go to the site. The gains of time gains aren't that significant to actually get any cost savings. Now, this is probably one of the most important parts of the study. It is mapping the technologies to the use cases. Let me explain. The left is all the use cases. The bottom 9, the 9, 1 through 9 is the use cases, and the left is the technologies. The dark green is what is today that is high frequency use, and the light green is what we believe is emerging. Now, let's do the math. Stationary LiDAR. Look, it answers every question, right? It helps you do as-built documentation, surveying, QA, QC, progress scanning. I mean, there's a long list, so I'm not going to read all of it. It does everything, but that is also the most expensive one, right? It requires a lot of skills to do it. On the other hand, it's the most accurate one too. It depends on your project, right? It depends on what you're running. If you're doing a thing that actually requires millimeter accuracy, of course you're going to do LiDAR scanning. Today, if you have to do progress reporting, those are the 5 and 8. 5 is progress reporting, 8 is safety inspections. Based on our feedback and work with customers, that's what they use it for. They use 360 video, and also phones to actually those two. The others are emerging. They're coming. And one of the reasons they're coming is a big improvement happening in AI. It's called NERF, N-E-R-F. It's not what you think it is, not the toy. It is taking 2D images and ability to convert into 3D. And today, if you look at any conference that has to do with machine learning and AI, you're probably going to see 30 to 40% of the papers are about that. Huge emphasis is coming into that space. And the ability to take a 3D, 360 video and a smartphone video, process it and convert that into 2D. We're using 2D, right? In the photos and the video. Converting them 2D images into a 3D spaces is coming fast and furious. We're going to see a huge improvement to that in the next couple of years. It's coming. And that's why we put those emerging cases. All right, so when you download the paper and read 22 pages, you're going to see these 6 bullet points. And some of them are already addressed, right? The first one is it's picking the right tool for the right job, and the paper really emphasizes you have to look at your use cases. What am I doing this for? What's my requirements? What is the skills of the people I have? How am I going to use this? What should I do? Autonomy, I already talked about it. We proved the promise of autonomy. Portability of 360 body-mounted scans and smartphones, they actually really impressed us. Those portable solutions that are coming, and if you can match it with what's happening in computer vision and, like I said, nerves and other technologies, it was really impressive. Accuracy of high-end LiDARs versus 3D mapping and photogrammetry. Look, high-end LiDARs, the accuracy is phenomenal. I mean, you can't compare it to others, right? So you're going to read the paper, you're going to see, millimeter accuracies here. Visual quality of deliverables. That's a very interesting topic. Again, you need to read that part. And the last one is, anyone who deals with project management knows this, but I'm going to repeat again, you have to plan, and execute. Even if you have a project engineer and you told that person, hey, it's a data center, just a 360 video, walk the space, that's not enough. I'll give you a great example of that. LiDAR, if I put a LiDAR right here, it scans the space. Well, my interest was these screens, and I can remotely access to that from my home in Chicago and look at that, right? How many times I actually, later weeks, realized, well, I should have looked at those lights too. Well, if you didn't tell the person who's taking a photo or a video and never look up, they never captured that. But if you did a LiDAR, it's already in there. That's the big difference. So if you follow that logic, planning, no matter what you do, is still very important. You can't just assume I'm just going to put these scanners there, it's going to scan and do the mapping, it's going to work itself. Now I talk like a true project management professional. Now, we talked about construction. We got 10 minutes left. I'm on schedule. Let's look at operations. What did we do? At the lab, we built a mock data center. Those are racks, and they're empty. And they didn't need to have anything in there because we were trying to see, look, there's a lot of buzz about robots and drones and other things. Do they even make sense? Can we actually use this? And operationally, putting them in a live data center was not on the cards. We can't do that. So we built this. It's simple. It's 1.2 meters apart, and you kind of get a glimpse of spot there. And then we start trials. By the way, people love these videos. So I posted this on LinkedIn. I think got 750,000 views. Those are the numbers, right? People love to talk about robotics, AI, what's happening. And what you're seeing is we were trying to validate that it can complete these missions autonomously without any obstacles, and it actually does it. Now, take what you're seeing, attach the LiDAR, and scan it. There's a way, I have a room at my house, so hopefully you can relate to this. There's even a dock for this, where it can go park itself, charge itself. You can remotely trigger it. It scans and then comes back and push the data to cloud. You physically do not need to be there. Well, the same thing also applies to drones. Some of you might think, wow, it's crazy to fly a drone in a data center. It is kind of crazy, I'll admit to that, okay? You have cabling, you have other things, and the space is 1.2 meters apart. The bubble of this autonomy is 1 meter, so didn't really work that well. But we tried. But we're still trying it, right? Initial trial, it didn't work that well, but we have not given up on it. And anyone in the work in the data centers tells me that it's a little crazy to try it, but it is a pretty cheap solution. At some point, it's going to make sense. And if you follow news, there are big warehouses already using it everywhere right now around the world. It's happening already, right? You just have to find a hardware that can actually fly through these racks and take the image and they read the QR codes, and we have the vision, we have the processing, we have the controls. The rest is history. By the way, again, everything I'm showing is commercially available. And the next one we're looking at is we're partnering with Fetch Robotics. Robot goes and brings you tools and parts, and we're talking about how to standardize it. I'm sure some of you in this room already tried these things, and this might not be new to you, because I've done my research and looked at who's doing what. It's pretty, by the way, congratulations. This industry is very innovative. I want to say that. I've done my homework. I've seen people working on modular data centers. I've seen robotics. This is probably not new, right? I'm hoping the first part is pretty new to you about how to innovate and how to pull these things together. Now, I got last 6 minutes. I really want to talk about the future. Typically, keynotes about futuristic, what it is, what's coming, and inspire you. I'm going to end the last 5 minutes with that, right? So let's follow me next 5 minutes. Robots. How do they work? So we pre-program it. You have to have someone coding it. Or you train with machine learning. That's the example I have given. What that means is, like that robot itself has a controller, very simple controller, has a screen, and you hit record, and then you start moving it. It's recording its movements. You have it go from this corner to that corner to those 4 corners, have it come back and read a fiducial. It's like a QR code, so it says the mission is over. The next day when we do the trial, if there's an obstacle in front of it, it goes around it. It actually makes a decision. Should I climb over this? Should I go around it? If a human is on its way, it stops. So we even tried this in the data center, by the way. It was really fascinating. So these racks that you've seen, right? We don't want to do the trial with humans, so we put chairs. And it was really interesting. So if the starting point was really close to where the chair is, so the robot will start walking, it will recognize the chair, it will recognize you can't go around it, or it will actually walk backwards. It will walk backwards and position itself back. What we also have learned is if it's further away, it made the decision, it can't walk all the way back. It actually found a way to go around and move itself and walk back. I have to show you these videos to understand it. But it was like, even for an experimentation for us to know that, well, if it's too close to an obstacle, it knows I can just walk backwards. If it's not, I need to maneuver around and then go back. Well, it's quite interesting. So let's go back to robots, right? What's the feature? Today, we program it and we train it. So this is part the reason why you do not have them in your homes. So let's say, at my house, I'm the one who actually does the dishes, put them in the dishwasher. I would love to have something do that for me, so I don't have to do it every night. But, if there's a plate that needs to be on the, cabinet on the second shelf, well, if I didn't train the robot, it's never going to do it, right? I actually have to say, move this way, come up, or program it. What if there was a way I just say it and it does it? So those are called AI agents and large language models. Now, look, large language models is a big topic these days. Everyone talks about it. It's really exciting. As I said, the technology is there. Everybody's trying to, figure out how to make for industries. This is how it works. You set a goal. It creates tasks. Large language model can write a code and send it to the robot to actually execute. We're not there yet, by the way. I'm not saying it's today, this is future, right? But if you follow that logic, I tried this actually. I couldn't put it on the screen. I tried this. So I went to one of those publicly available AI agents, and I wrote and said, I want to build a 300,000 square feet sustainable built operated data center. Try it, please. See what it does. The goal was that, right? I set the goal. The first task, it said, there are 3 tasks. It created tasks. One of the tasks says, I need to go and do a research on what a sustainable construction looks like. I need to go research on what the sustainable operations look like. And it came back to me and said, yep, I've done my research. It is what I found out. You can use CLT, cross-laminated timber. You can use restructured steel. You can do this. It came up with the ideas and said, oh, in between it said, well, I looked inside. There's something about water preservation. We could do this and this and this. And then it stopped working because it's a demo. Okay, so that's what happened. But it was an eye-opening experience. Try these, just Google code AI agents and see if you can find one of those and enter what you wanted to do and do the task and see what it does for you, right? Now, it's not accurate, it's not there yet, but it's coming. With the speed of everything happening since December, you see it, right? It's happening, it's getting close. And what's also interesting is we are terrible on predicting what's going to happen 10 years from now. We're somewhat okay about next 12 months, right? And it's showing us that. It's showing us that some of these things are really accelerating, and we're seeing it day by day, and the things are coming. It's coming so fast, we can't even keep track of it. Now, project management, construction, operations. So how does this work for us? By the way, this is my last slide. The same thing. I can go to an AI agent and say, hey, I want to build a data center, and I want to do X, Y, Z. By the way, one of the tasks that agent created was filing permits. And it did tell me, well, I don't have access to your local code, so I can't really, differentiate this. Think about that. By the way, I've filed permits many, many, many times. So, and anyone who filed a permit knows this. 80% is expected, 20% is what that person interprets, right, at the other end. Like whatever the code is, they say, oh, this is not how we do it. Depends on which person reviews it. We all know that, right? It's all interpretation. The 20% is the risky part for filing permits. So imagine at the other end, there's another AI agent which actually receives it and actually processes it based on the data that you provided. Imagine this is for your operations. Well, what if it just says, well, I need to run this with 0 downtime and X, Y, Z. I need to do this and this. It creates these tasks for it to go and check things, right? It can check digitally. That's the example, digital execution, right? It can check physically. It can trigger that robot we just talked about that's sitting in the data center and go and scan it and do an inventory management for us, which is unscheduled, unprogrammed. This is where the world is heading. And here's my recap. I would like, if you're interested in our work, please go oracle.com/innovation. That takes us to our website. I have started doing these live videos on LinkedIn. There's another one coming, which will be actually flying an autonomous drone and talking about this data experiment. There's experts joining with me. It's going to happen in a couple of weeks. You can read about the paper. You can connect me on LinkedIn. And if you send me a message, I will send you the link to paper to download so you can actually go read this. I'm going to end it. I know I'm over time. I'm going to spend another 30 seconds on this, if you can allow me. So this morning, I posted a cartoon from 1923 on LinkedIn. And the cartoon is this. There is an idea generator, and there is a cartoon machine. This is from 1923, and it's just coincidental. This cartoon says, this is what's going to look like in year 2023 now with us using electricity. The reason they're talking about electricity is in 1923, that's when electricity was AI for us, right? It was coming really strongly. It was like 30%, 70%. In some cases, they predict 90% of the cities was electricity. Everybody was trying to figure out what to do with it. So this is not a new dream for us to have some sort of intelligence to actually do this for us. Also, again, if you go read through my LinkedIn post, you'll see that that intelligence is very different than human intelligence. Yes, there's a lot of fear out there. Everybody's trying to, I think it is creating this buzz and, it is mystic, it does X, Y, Z. But I'm going to end this with thought with you. When we look at machines, or AI or other things, we compare them to ourselves. What we don't do is we do not really comprehend what this intelligence is. When you read through things, they say, well, it has 1 trillion connections, and it can do amazing things, but as humans, we have 100 trillion connections. What will it do if it has 100? The reality is we don't know. So I'm going to end it with that thought, and thanks for letting me share what we have accomplished.
That was fascinating. One of my favorite things with Bertrand is actually have to have a chance to visit and see a little Spot running around. What was really fascinating is that Spot had the lighter thingy on his back, and he was running around this mock data center. And Bertrand's like, let's put a chair in front of it. And I'm like, let's put a chair in front of it. And so he takes his chair, puts it right in front of it, and we see this little robot walking around, and he gets to the chair. And I'm like, he's going to jump it. No, he didn't jump. He did the appropriate thing. He looked at it. He's like, I can't. All right, I guess I got to back up a little bit. Went back, went around the other way. And what was really fascinating about everything he showed is that there was a screen in the back showing Spot writing his own code, his own lighter, his own map of the actual facility. So fascinating stuff. Bertrand, thank you so much. I absolutely love that, and I love seeing all the innovation that we're seeing out there. Next up, I'd like to welcome my friend and someone brilliant, Vlad Golubov, Omdia's research director for cloud and data center. He's going to share with you some important developments from Omdia's highly respected data center practice. And so with that, big round of applause. Oh my God, let's go to the next slide, please. There we go. Vlad Golubov, come on up stage.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bill. Isn't Bill awesome? So thank you for sticking around. I know that we've had a lot of your time. We're going to spend about 5 minutes just giving you hopefully a very quick recap on some of the things that I think you really should be thinking about that we haven't had time to go into depth today. So my name is Vlad, and I'm the head of Omdia's Cloud and Data Center Research Practice. And if you don't know Omdia, we're a global research firm of about 400 analysts. We specialize in really giving advice, data, and a strategy direction to some of the largest companies in the world, and actually a lot of startups that are still in stealth mode that are really looking for help to navigate the environment. And this, of course, includes the cloud and data center space. So yesterday, we held our second annual Omdia Analyst Summit. And on this year, the focus really was on how to actually turn the idea of sustainability into a practical effort that actually ends up being also a financially viable solution, a financially viable decision, something that helps the data center save cost or helps the data center actually increase the revenue that they make from that space. So I've brought the 6, at least, key takeaways that I have from that day. We had a 4-hour session with a lot of speakers during the day. So as you can imagine, it's very difficult to concise everything into 6 pieces, but we have them here. So the first kind of really big takeaway that I had was that data center sustainability does carry a real financial value. In essence, the calculation is pretty simple. For every kilowatt hour of energy saved, you save cost, you save dollars, but you also end up decreasing your footprint from a carbon perspective. So really, it is actually the best solution possible for a data center is to figure out how to reduce the energy consumption. Now, that's very hard, but instead of talking about it, we went and started talking about real solutions and how that can be done. So first, how that should not be done. In my opinion, how that should not be done is through the investment in financial instruments, should we say. So renewable energy credits is one example. Power purchase agreements is another example. I believe that those are, in essence, a waste of money, because what you're doing is you're paying for the claim to say that you're using renewable energy. But in reality, you're not changing the global footprint from a carbon perspective. You're also not saving money. You're wasting money paying for these financial instruments. The two strategies that we discussed in detail that are viable and that we think are important, one is figuring out how to consolidate IT equipment to use fewer servers. So, for example, one of our speakers talked about how you can change the components of a server and change the size of a server to make your environment denser. By making your environment denser, you can put more servers in your existing data center, or you could just start using less power. So that's one example, but we also talked about optimization. Through optimization, you could end up having your workloads computed in fewer servers than what you have. Of course, this is data center world, so power and cooling are critical. The physical infrastructure of a data center can truly be changed and updated as well. So new technologies have arrived already. So we talked about some of the new battery technologies that are there that can enable the integration of renewable energy into the data center. So lithium-based batteries, sodium-ion batteries are being rolled out as we speak. And of course, liquid cooling, one of the hot topics today, this week that I know that people are going to talk about a lot, but liquid cooling is happening today. And then, of course, waste. So when we talk about waste, people typically talk about waste heat, and this is an incredibly important aspect of how a data center could end up increasing their sustainability. But one of my personal favorite topics when it comes to waste is actually how you can decrease your IT waste, increase your reuse. So our analyst talked about how a modular server design can end up enabling a different refresh cycle for different parts of the IT ecosystem. That could enable a data center operator to save on having to purchase new memory, to save on having to update the I/O at the same time as they're updating their IT. And this isn't some sort of a future crazy strategy. It is happening today. The global hyperscalers are actually deploying these modular systems, and a huge amount of investment is happening. So as it happens, the analysts that are a part of my team all participate in some of the global standard organizations that are setting some of the technology decisions and innovation in stone, and they are all available to have a chat with you at the Omdia booth. And of course on email. And I'll leave you with one last thing. This was also how we closed yesterday's discussion. And that is that I firmly believe that data centers are a force for good. So yesterday we quoted one data point that I really like. And that data point comes from a US research institute that found that for 1 kilowatt hour of energy used in the data center, we save 10 kilowatt hours in the real world. So data centers truly are a force for good because they are saving the world electricity and they are making us more sustainable. Very importantly, we showed a data point from the IEA that shows that the data center electricity consumption has flatlined over the last few years. In reality, we are pretty much consuming the same amount of energy today as a data center industry as we did in 2010. However, in 2010, the amount of digitalization that has occurred in the world was significantly less. So these were the top 6 takeaways from our Omdia Analyst Summit. It's going to happen again next year, so definitely look out for us, and I hope to see you at the Omdia booth. Thank you, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to wrap up here. Hey, before we go, I was reading the story recently about what, and I'm sure everyone wants to know what's popular right now in the world, right? So I was reading what like youngins are into, right? And it was really surprising report that they are no longer into these phones that we have, these touchscreen phones. What's popular? What's back again? Flip phones, flip phones. So I went into a bag of old phones because everyone's got a bag of old phones in their house, and I found my really cool StarTAC Motorola phone from 1996. And what was really cool about this thing? I can't make a call; it's 2G. But I was playing around with it. It's like, you know what? You know what the coolest thing about this is? You can't do that anymore, can you? This doesn't actually do anything, but it just makes you look cool. Hey, can you hear me now? Hey, Verizon just called. They said, stop it, Bill. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been an amazing opening keynote. We have got an amazing day for you today. Actually, it's our kickoff day. Before I send you off, I want to give you a couple of really important housekeeping items, things that I want you to all be aware of. First, please go ahead and download this app. It is a great app. It's great for networking. It keeps my head totally sane. It helps me get contacted with you guys. It helps me see all the sessions that are happening. Please just go ahead and download it. It gives you a whole lot of information. It's lightweight. I very much enjoy it. When you're in a session, please, if you can, leave feedback. You know, it's a part of the reason this crowd is record-breaking is because we listen to you, and we try and take that feedback and we try to apply it to everything that we do. You know, you are kind of our secondary content advisory board because you tell us what makes it better, what makes this event better. So please, when you're in the session, just pop it open. You're going to see the session that you're in, complete the conference session evaluation. It's going to help us so much. We always love your feedback, so by all means, don't be shy. I'm genuinely excited about this one. I never thought I'd be up here at Data Center World talking about, you know, obviously connectivity and data and putting things like ChatGPT in a title, but believe me, we're going to be talking about it and working with this stuff. Tomorrow, we're going to have an amazing panel of brilliant individuals, each of them totally qualified to talk into literally each of those sections. I wish I could tell you more. I only have like a minute left here, so you're going to have to come to the keynote tomorrow morning and hear what these folks are going to be saying. Because it's going to be so relevant and so important. Don't forget, like I said earlier, go to the expo hall. Today is the opening reception from 4 to 6. Check out that epic waterfall that's in there. By all means, come on by. I think we're going to have drinks and some hors d'oeuvres. And come out, hang out, check out the expo hall. Again, it's a record-breaking crowd this time around. So by all means, get in there and check it out. We have our rack and stack competition that is going to be happening. This is the inaugural Rack and Stack competition where you can get the chance to see your fellow data center athletes compete in a time race to see who can rack and stack the fastest. No, I will not tell you if it's upside down. Judges will also give points for style. No doubt it's going to entertain. I want to see you all out there, those servers slinging people. Oh, gosh. But definitely come out. Please do this. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be today from 4:15 to 5:30. Literally, it's a rack donated by these wonderful folks over there. That's equipment supplied by. You're literally going to see people on your marks, get set, go. Pizza box into a rack. And it is going to be really entertaining. I hope one person doesn't have to lift a giant UPS, though. That's kind of mean. But definitely go there. It's going to be super entertaining, and I'm excited for that. The Espresso Bar. Keep me away from that. It's going to be at the Data Center Build, as well as our Lounge Expo Hall from 4 to 6 p.m. It's actually pretty tasty. If you guys can check it out, come by there. My goodness, I think that's it. Go out, enjoy the rest of your day. Go see a wonderful session. I've got a Data Center 101 session coming up in 15 minutes. Come hang out with me. But go out there, have a wonderful day, enjoy the content, network, and have a wonderful time. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.